Only one Disney movie in the last 5 years has made over $1 billion at the box office, so here's all the upcoming Disney movies ranked by how likely they are to make $1 billion. And in dead last is the new Tron movie, Tron Ares. Now, I absolutely love both the first two Tron films. Tron Legacy only made $400 million at the box office, and this is just simply not a famous enough franchise with wide enough appeal to actually make $1 billion. I give this movie only a 1% chance. And speaking of movies with a 1% chance of making $1 billion, the new MCU film, The Thunderbolts, is the team up of all these kind of anti-heroes and villains above me. There is no way this is making $1 billion. 1% might even be generous. The Marvel brand is simply just not strong enough to carry any random characters to $1 billion anymore. Like, I'm excited to see some of these people. Like, I really love Ghost and Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I'm excited to see Elena and Bucky again. But if films like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 aren't even making $1 billion, 1% might even be too generous for this film. Number 13 is Blade. We're still in the low percentages. Like, this is going to be a 3% chance of making $1 billion for me because it's going to be an R-rated vampire movie, and R-rated films are really difficult to make $1 billion on. Once again, I'm actually super excited for this movie. I think Mahershala Ali is an amazing casting for this. The only reason I gave this movie a slightly higher chance is because I feel like it's going to be more of a standalone outside of the MCU, like not connected to as many different films, so that gives it a better chance, and it being R-rated is what a lot of audiences are wanting nowadays. At number 12 is the new Pixar movie, Elio. This is about this kid named Elio, and he gets beamed up by aliens, and they think he's Earth's ambassador. Pixar has kind of just lost the sauce recently, and I feel like everybody has completely forgotten that this movie is even existing and coming out soon. So while it's never fair to fully count out a Pixar or a kids movie, because sometimes they just get insane waves where tons of families go and see them for no reason at all, I don't think this is very likely. I give it a 5% chance. 11 is Captain America Brave New World, with now Sam Wilson taking over the Captain America mantle. This movie has been going through tons of different reshoots because it tested so badly with the earliest audiences that got to preview the screenings of this, which is a very bad sign for this film. Well, I'm personally super excited to see Sam Wilson finally take on the Captain America mantle in this. We're gonna have Harrison Ford in the movie being Red Hulk. Ironically, I think a huge part of how well this movie does at the box office is dependent on Deadpool and Wolverine, because this is the next MCU movie coming out after that. So if Deadpool and Wolverine is like an insane hit with like $1.5 billion, maybe that will bring a lot of people back to the MCU. But otherwise, I really don't see this having much of a chance. It's another 5% chance for me. Number 10 is a huge jump up in how likely it is to make $1 billion. It's the new Mufasa the Lion King live action quote unquote prequel. It's coming out this holiday around December. I don't know what was happening in 2019, but Disney was just printing money, and the live action Lion King remake made $1.6 billion, which is just absolutely mind blowing to me. So while I don't want this new Mufasa movie to be successful, it probably is going to make a lot of money. But only because the last live action Lion King made that much money, I'm going to have to give this like a 25% chance, even though I think it's going to be an absolutely terrible film. At number 9 is the new Snow White live action remake. Now, hear me out on this one. I know everybody on the internet absolutely despises this movie and Rachel Ziegler, but you have to step away from Twitter for 1 second. Realize, yes, I know people are getting tired of live action remakes, but Snow White is one of the most famous movies and stories of all time. Don't hear what I'm not saying, because I don't think this movie is going to be like a cinematic masterpiece, but I think it's going to be a lot more successful than the internet would lead you to believe. I give this also 25% chance of making $1 billion. Number 8 is another huge jump up. We got the Fantastic Four movie coming out next summer. I absolutely love everything they've done with all the main casting here. And now we also know that Galactus is going to be the villain of this movie. Fantastic Four are some of Marvel's most iconic characters of all time. They've just been getting very bad movies lately, but if this is actually good, it has an actually really good chance of making $1 billion. Plus, this movie's coming out in the summer. It has potential to be that huge summer blockbuster, but its biggest obstacle is that the new DCU is starting up with Superman in the same month next year. So those two are definitely going to be battling and probably take away a decent amount of money from each other, but I still think this has so much star power and so much widespread appeal because these are just characters that everybody knows even if they haven't seen a movie or comic book. I'm going to give this movie a 45% chance of hitting $1 billion at the box office. Number 7 is Toy Story 5. Now, I know Toy Story is super iconic and these movies have all been making a ton of money recently. Well, a lot of people might think that this would be way higher up on my list on how likely it is to make $1 billion. I feel like there is a thing as too much of a good thing, especially when you keep having great endings to the franchise and then just keep making new films to milk it dry. Plus, with Toy Story 3 and 4, they did both make over $1 billion, but just slightly, so this is far from a guarantee of making that much money, especially now with the rise of streaming and Disney Plus. I feel like a lot more people are just going to wait for this to come out on that. Now, even with all those points against why this movie should make $1 billion, I feel like it is actually more than likely that it ends up crossing that mark, because audiences actually don't care that much that, like, oh, they're milking this franchise dry. They're going to see a new Toy Story film, and they're going to go see it. I give this a 60% chance of making $1 billion. At number 6, I have Inside Out 2. This comes out next month in June, which is a pretty wide wide open month for a new summer movie to come in and be a smash hit. Now, the first Inside Out movie didn't even cross $1 billion. It made $858 million, but this was 9 years ago, and this movie has been widely loved by both fans and critics alike. And 9 years is a lot of time for people who have checked this out on streaming or gotten it on Blu-ray and watched it even when it was out of theaters originally, which is a lot more new people that are going to go and see the sequel now. So it seems like everything is pointing towards this movie being an absolute smash hit for Disney. If this movie somehow flops, it could be time for Disney to hit the panic button, because if they can't make money on a beloved sequel in a month with not a lot of competition, I don't know what they're going to make money on. But I'm going to give it a 75% chance. It seems like a surefire hit. At number 5, I have Zootopia 2. I feel like this movie is in a really similar situation to Inside Out 2. It's going to get a huge boost because this has been over 8 years since the first one released. But unlike with the first Inside Out movie, the first Zootopia actually did make over $1 billion at the box office, which was kind of surprising to me when I was researching this video, but it did. So I'm going to give this movie an 85% chance just because there's so many people waiting for this. At number 4, I have Deadpool and Wolverine. I feel like the smartest thing that Disney has done is taken a little bit of a break from releasing MCU movies and making this the only MCU release this year. Now, if you actually go and look at the first 2 Deadpool movies, they both made under $800 million, and Logan made only $619 million. Because like I said, R-rated movies, it makes it really hard to make over $1 billion. And even with the recent history of Marvel movies in the last couple of years really flopping or doing poorly at the box office, I just feel like this movie is destined to be successful. Like, there's just something in the air that makes it feel like that. Like, the trailer for this movie has been breaking view records, and there's been so much discussion and just theorizing online about this film. I also think Disney and Kevin Feige know how important this movie is for the future of the MCU, because they have been going insanely hard on the marketing. Like, this film is still 2 months out, but yet every week there's like a new clip of Ryan Reynolds or a new TV spot trailer for it. Plus, tickets are already on sale for this movie that comes out in 2 weeks, and people are posting screenshots all over the place that all these theaters are almost sold out for opening weekend. This is going to be a huge hit. I give it a 90% chance of hitting $1 billion. At number 3, I have Moana 2, which is coming out this year in November. It kind of got surprise announced a couple months ago. You're probably looking at the Moana 1 box office numbers and saying this first one only made $687 million. Is the second one really going to get that big of a boost to over $1 billion that it's number 3 on this list? To which I'd say probably yes, because what you have to take into account is that Moana has been in the top 10 most streamed movies of the year every year since it released, and just last year in 2023, it was the most watched film on all streaming services. That means there's millions upon millions of families that are constantly rewatching the first Moana, and a lot of those probably didn't see the first one in theaters, but now when the second one comes out, since they love the film so much, they're more likely to go and see this one. Of course, there is a chance that since they watched the first one on streaming, they just wait for streaming for Moana 2, but I don't think that's going to be the case for this movie. I give it a 95% chance of hitting $1 billion. At number 2 is Frozen 3. Now, I feel like this one can go right on the pile with Toy Story 5 of being completely unnecessary for the story and just being existing to milk the franchise. The thing is, kids really don't care if you're milking a franchise dry. If they watch Frozen 1 and 2, which they clearly did since they made $1.2 and $1.4 billion at the box office, they're gonna go and see Frozen 3 no matter what. This is a 100% chance at making $1 billion, even though it's at number 2. Number 1 is a movie that has a 1000% chance of making $1 billion at the box office. It's Avatar 3. For the life of me, I cannot explain why everybody in the world goes to see these movies, but the first Avatar made almost $3 billion, and the second one made $2.3 billion. So even if this has a huge drop off from the second one, it's still guaranteed to make like $1.5 billion, which is just absolutely insane. Disney really has a money glitch with these movies. Now hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure to check out another video above my head right here.